After watching the film of Jeremiah Smith, it is proven that he's not just the best wide receiver in the 2027 NFL draft, he is the number one player in the class as well.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. My name is Damian Parson, and that is Keith Sanchez. And today's episode is brought to you by Odoo. Great organizations win because operations matter, and that's why you should get Odoo. Try it for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. That's odoo.com/lockedon. And guys, we're kicking off our wide receiver position with the number one wide receiver in the class, and not even possibly, he's the best player in the actual 2027 NFL draft. We're breaking down Jeremiah Smith. Later on, we're going to explain his grade and maybe throw out some comps for you, talk about some of the concerns that he has going into the 2026 college football season. But let's kick it off with the pros. Keith, this is a 6'3", 220-pound wide receiver. And I said it, Keith, this is the best player in the 2027 in the NFL draft class. He's the best player in college football. And I know we give a lot of love to the quarterbacks. We talked about Arch and Mensa. If you take out positional value, there's none of those quarterbacks match up to what he is, in my opinion, as a prospect and as a player. He's coming off of last season, 87 catches, 1,243 yards receiving, 13 total touchdowns. What did you see that stood out to you for Ohio State's number one wide receiver?
Yeah, rare. You said the best prospect in the 2027 NFL draft class, DP. I'll go do this. The 5 years I've been in the draft space, the other 5 to 6 years I spent at LSU, he probably ranks top 3 to top 5 prospects I've seen, period. And that's inclusive of just being potentially on a football field with some of those guys, and just watching them, right? Like not even guys that went to LSU, it's in wide receivers, right? And so, man, starting with what he does great, you're almost speechless because it's a lot, right? You can spend a full 2-hour podcast on what he does really well. Being 6'3", 220 pounds, if you just want to start with the release package, right? I thought he covered so much ground and so much space laterally, DP, to where when you want to call him a straight line guy, right? And usually guys that big, potentially the AJ Browns of the world, right? They usually win linearly, right? Like overwhelming you, overpowering you with strength. But he has the foot quickness and the foot fire in his release when the ball is snapped to move you laterally off of your point too, right? Yeah. And then when he decides to attack upfield, cornerbacks are usually off balance, or even sometimes he wins with quickness in the sense of the fact of they guess wrong, right? They open up their hips way too quickly. In that situation. Route running, I thought he was a good route running on a scale of 1 to 10. Maybe I'll put it at an 8.5, right? Like you probably won't put him in the Justin Jefferson class of route running, but he also provides the middle of the field stuff, right? Big body guy that consistently goes over the middle of the field. Run after the catch. If Carnell Tate went number 4, this guy should be able to go number 1 or what's less than 1, DP? 0. He should be able to call his own name at the draft. At the end of the day, because the run after the catch ability, he uses the 220 pounds and the burst and acceleration that you see in the open field from time to time. It feels like you're watching a 4.3 athlete when he has the ball in his hands at times, and being that big, that is rare. So man, I'm tossing it back to you, but there was the contested catch situation, man. Some of the catches he made last year, the one-handers spinning backwards, the being defenders draped over you. I forgot it was another play where he went up with 2 hands on this one, but it was extremely difficult catch. It was in between 3 defenders. It's the concentration, the ball tracking. I didn't. Maybe I'm leaning towards next segment. I didn't see much I didn't like, DP. That's the best way I could put it. And there are times where these prospects, and this was my first time watching Jeremiah Smith, and I'll tell you why. There are times when hype hits a prospect, right? And you're like, okay, I can't wait to watch him. And then you watch him, and then you're like, I don't see what everybody see.
Yeah.
I was hoping and praying I didn't feel that way. And I can tell you this, DP, I don't think people are talking about this young man enough. That was spectacular. What I watched.
No, Keith, I'm listen. I'll spoil it, guys. Anything I say next segment is nitpicking. I'm just letting you know right off the top. Like, you know what I mean? It isn't anything that's going to truly derail him from being an elite receiver at the NFL. It's just nitpicking. I want to go ahead and let the cat out the bag right now. Keith, I agree with you wholeheartedly. This is a special. Keith, you know the one. What's the one phrase that I absolutely hate come draft season, Keith? The one that I never.
Generational.
Yes, if I were to use that phrase for anybody, it would be for Jeremiah Smith. That's the only time you're gonna see me utter that word for a prospect. I hate that term more than anything, honestly. But I will use it for him. He is a generational talent. You call him rare, he's generational, he's elite. Whatever adjective, whatever like phrase you want to put and attach to him, that is what Jeremiah Smith is. And to watch, you talking about the route running, Keith. I love for a 6'3", 220 guy, talking about being able to snap off routes with suddenness. And I remember listening to him do an interview where he kind of talked about, I don't do a lot of the fancy stuff a lot of everybody else does. He's just straight to the point. Hard cuts, violence, footsteps, suddenness, explosiveness off the ball. He just gets to work, just gets busy, gets to business. And that ability to push you vertical and then sink and drive out of breaks with suddenness, to drop his weight like a smaller receiver and everything. But then it's the route running IQ of being able to avoid zone defenders, get to his spots, and catch the football. Got really strong hands. And you talked about, like, I think it was, man, was it one of the was it Purdue maybe? I don't remember. But like Julian saying threw a pass in the red zone, got tipped by, I think, a defensive lineman. Ball pops up in the air, and Jeremiah Smith snatches it at the goal line with one hand, and then just ends up with a touchdown. I'm just like, bruh, like, what do you do with that? Like, as a defender, right? I think there was the Illinois game where I think it's like Juice Clark. I think it's the corner. They were going back and forth. They were battling with each other. Got real chippy. Then goal line, red zone fade, goal line fade, and he hit him with a quick foot fire. And then released outside, completely shook the corner, and he's like wide open in the corner for a touchdown. His body control, spatial awareness of knowing where he is on the field too, like be able to get 2 feet in, like all of it. Like he is the total package at wide receiver. And I'll say this, Keith. I was high on Marv coming out, right? And that size, strength, and route running. There's 2 things that separate him and Marv. He's a much more explosive athlete than Marv was, number one.
Yep.
Mentally, this dude he's one of those wide receivers as a corner. You just go throughout the game of not talking to him. You know what I mean? Like if he's having a game where it's like 5 catches for 70, hey, it's cool. We kept him under 100 yards straight. Don't go start jabbing and talking to him, because I've watching his body language when that stuff starts to happen. Or no, you're going to wake up the beast. Like that's the type of guy you messing with when you start talking to him. It's just like I think it was like when people talk about, hey, don't talk to MJ, don't talk to Kobe, don't talk to this guy or that guy. Like you start talking trash to certain athletes, you wake them up, and now they want to dominate you. And he's very much like that. He's wired differently than Marv was coming out of Ohio State. And just watching him over 1,200 yards back-to-back seasons as a true freshman, coming in and dominating the college football landscape. This young man does everything. Like he's got route running. He's a 3-level wide receiver. The body control, the size, speed, and strength. It's like literally in college, there's only one corner, maybe 2. And I wish that's why I want that scheduling thing to get fixed in college. Let me get him versus Leonard Moore in Notre Dame. Let me get a Notre Dame Ohio State game in the regular season. Let me get Georgia and Ohio State to kick off the season, and I get him versus Ellis Robinson the 4th. I get him against Leonard Moore, the corner from out of Notre Dame. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think there's a corner in the Big Ten that's gonna be able to go on the island and go one-on-one with him. At least those 2 guys, I feel like, hey, that's a box office matchup. Other than that, this is what you look for when you're talking about, if I can create a wide receiver, Keith, this is that. Jeremiah Smith is the guy in the lab. I'm creating Frankenstein. I'm creating the monster of receivers. It's him. Well, it would be Megatron because he's like 6'6", but then it's him.
Yeah, no, I agree. DP, let's do this, man. Usually we talk about concerns, right? But I don't want to force anything. I want to stay in the light of talking and discussing Jeremiah Smith and outlining who he is as a prospect. So what I'm going to do is this. There's a long history of Ohio State wide receivers, right? They have a good history, right? I mean, sometimes people like to call them wide receiver U. Leave that for LSU, right? And there's no bias, but I'm gonna leave it for LSU. But I want to do this. I want to compare and contrast them to a couple different wide receivers in Ohio State Buckeye history in this next segment. And we'll talk about a couple things that he has to improve also. But I want to do that. I think that'll be a fun way to discuss Jeremiah Smith and the lenses that we see him through. So coming up next, man, we're gonna compare Jeremiah Smith to the greats that came out of Ohio State.
Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. One app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them talk to each other. That's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works in one place, helping your team move faster, stay organized, and focus on growing the business instead of managing software. The best organizations know that success isn't just about talent. It's about having everyone working toward the same goal, and that's true in sports just like it is in business. Look at the New York Knicks. They made a calculated move, and it wasn't reactionary when they traded all those picks for Mikal Bridges, went and got OG Anunoby, and traded for Karl Anthony Towns. That's how they end up winning the NBA Finals. Great organizations win because operations matter. That's why you should get Odoo. Try for free at odoo.com/lockedon. That's ODOO.com/lockedon. Before we continue our Jeremiah Smith scouting profile, get your daily Locked On NFL draft fix completely ad-free by joining the Everyday Club today. Start your 7-day free trial right now and get closer to your favorite NFL draft analysts, myself and Keith, without the interruptions. Click the link in the show notes or go to lockedonnfldraft.supercast.com to claim your free trial. Keith, Ohio State has a long lineage of wide receivers, and not just even in the recent history. We go back to years ago with Michael Thomas, and you got Chris Olave, and you got Garrett Wilson that's in New York. It's a lot of guys. What was Chris Carter at Ohio State?
I believe Chris Carter went to Ohio State. Terry McLaurin, I believe, went to.
Yeah, Terry McLaurin. Yep. You can go back to Ted Ginn. I mean, he wasn't of the same ilk, but he was an impact player just overall with his return ability, deep elite speed, everything. They know how to recruit wide receivers.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to do, right? I was going to list off a couple wide receivers and say, would you rather this guy or that guy? And really compare and contrast them. Jeremiah, let's do this. Jeremiah Smith. We discussed Marvin Harrison Jr., right? We think he's more explosive than Marvin Harrison Jr. Let's go Jeremiah Smith versus Jackson Smith and Jigba. Would you compare and contrast the two with that? What do you give Jeremiah? Do you give him the lean, and then where do you give him the lean at?
Yeah, I definitely give him the lean. I give him the lead in size, strength, ball skills, and speed and explosiveness, right? Like JSN, and trust me, like he's great as a top 5, top 4 wide receiver in the NFL for me. Like this dude is ridiculous as a route runner, his patience, tempo. He's a technician all the way around. But when you look at Jeremiah Smith, he's going to give you that bigger body. He's going to give you the bigger catch radius. Like he gives you everything else that JSN doesn't actually give you in terms of a physical standpoint. And then it translates because he's also technical for the most part, not as technical as JSN, but he gives you the complete package. So I got him over JSN in multiple areas, but we all know JSN is an elite wide receiver.
Yep, I agree with that 100%. Let's do this. Let's do Jeremiah Smith and bring up another big-bodied wide receiver. Let's do Michael Thomas. You mentioned him earlier. I was going to get to him. Let's compare and contrast the two, both bigger wide receivers.
Yeah, bigger wide. I think Michael Thomas was a more power player than him. Like he used his strength in his body a lot better on in-breaking routes, right? For while he was in this with the Saints for like especially the prime of his career, people call him slant boy. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna keep running until somebody stop it. It just is what it is, right? Like, but you see his ability to be like a power forward in terms of Michael Thomas. Use his body, use his strength. Even if you try to press him and get physical with him, he just knew how to get free from all of that, right? So the route running, it was there. The strength was there, using his body and the knowledge and understanding of using his body. I would give him that nod. Everything else goes to Jeremiah Smith, though.
Yeah,
The speed.
I think that's the part that separates him, the down the field
Yeah.
explosiveness. That's another added element.
Because Michael Thomas was good on the back shoulder fade too. Like he may not have taken the top off just by running past guys, but hey, you throw that back shoulder fade to him, he knew how to stop and come back to the ball and create those 30-yard explosives. But his explosives and Jeremiah Smith's explosives, they look vastly different.
Yeah. All right, let's do this. Jeremiah Smith versus Garrett Wilson.
I think
two totally different profiles.
Yeah, two totally different profiles. Wilson was definitely the quick twitch route runner out of the two and everything. Smaller guy, can get in and out of pockets very well, things like that. That's about it. Yeah, that's it. I can't, you know what I mean? That's really about it. I would say, you know what? Did he get? No, I give yak to Jeremiah Smith too.
To Jeremiah. Yeah, it's tough because they are so different, and Garrett will win with the twitchiness. But man, I still give the nod to Jeremiah Smith if I had to draft one or the other, just because I feel like you can put him on the outside and you can put him on the inside, right? Like Garrett, you still want to try to work to free him up and things like that. And then also too, I think with Jeremiah Smith, when you draft him, you feel as though you have a clear number one and you just need a number two. I think with Garrett Wilson, and some of what you're seeing with Chris Olave too, is that even if they're your number ones, you still feel like you need a 1.5 or 1 to kind of balance it out. It's still a different body type that you want to balance that situation. Now, I just wanted to have the opportunity to compare, like, just to put it in a light, right, of what we've seen, comparing them to some of the other wide receivers, because, you know, we said Carnell Tate went number 4, right? Marvin Harrison Jr. went number 4. Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, they were both top 15 picks in the NFL draft. So just putting that in context of what we believe Jeremiah Smith to be. But DP, you talked about it, man. There's little detail concerns that I don't even say concerns, we call them improvements that you want to see from Jeremiah Smith. What do you have?
Kids, I really only have two things. You talked about his releases, and his releases are good. I want to see him expand it a little more to fight through physical contact in the contact window. I've seen reps where guys get handsy with him and they're able to slow down and impede his route. And then, you know, NFL is all about timing. And if you get depending on where you land in the NFL draft, if you get a quarterback that's purely a timing and rhythm-based passer, like those type of things can really derail the concepts that you're running and everything like that. So I want to see him just use his hands better, fight back with the hand fighting in the contact window. And like we talked about with Michael Thomas, I watched cornerbacks try to in the NFC South try to jam and press Michael Thomas, and they did it to no avail at the time because he was just so good about angling and then using his body and his strength to dislodge their hands. I want to see that next step of growth there with Jeremiah Smith. I mean, he's, like I said, the release back, the speed releases, the foot fires, that he can cross you up at the line of scrimmage and stuff like that. It's just using his hands more and quicker, timing his punches to counter those physical press corners. And then, Keith, I think the other one for me was just more effort in the run as a run blocker or just a blocker, period. He's a good blocker. It's just the effort kind of wanes. You go back to the game against Miami, right? Remember that Keontae Scott pick 6? Who missed the block on Keontae Scott? It was Jeremiah Smith. He missed the block on Keontae Scott because he was supposed to, it was a screenplay, that kind of wide receiver smoke screen with the lead block out there. I think it was like a stack or bunch set, and he missed the block. He whiffed on it. I think he took like a bad angle. He tried to like cut him instead of just like taking him head on. He tried to cut. He jumped outside of Keontae Scott, and Keontae jumped inside and then took the ball. Took it for like 67 yards for a pick 6. I want to see him just as a blocker in general, just like work on the technique of it all. And then because when you're 6'3", 220, I want to see you dominate at the point of attack in the run, especially in the run game, right? You go to a team, I don't know, like if Dallas followed you, Keith, and it's like, hey, are we going to trade Pickens? And they get a first-round pick for Pickens, and he used that flip for Jeremiah Smith. You know they're going to run the ball with Javonte Williams, right? Like they're a balanced offense. Or if you go to Baltimore somehow had a bad season, and they're like, you know what, let's go get Lamar Jackson, that true, even though I think Zay Flowers is a really good number 1, and they just don't have anything else around him really consistently. But if you ain't got Jeremiah Smith, he steps in as the true number 1 in that offense long term. they run the football. So you got to be, I want to see him be a dominant run blocker, especially if he's going to live up to the comp that I've been giving him since he stepped on campus at Ohio State.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, let's do this. DP, let's drop the NFL draft grade, right? What grade do we have for Jeremiah Smith? What bracket are we putting him in heading into the 2026 college football season as a 2027 NFL draft prospect? We'll discuss that coming up next.
Throughout the NHL Finals, every shift matters. Every moment is intense, and everything comes down to execution when the pressure is at its highest. And just like athletes must be ready to perform when the puck drops, a lot of guys want that same sense of readiness and confidence in their own lives too. That's where Rougiet comes in. Rougiet offers modern performance-focused treatments designed to help you be ready when it matters. Their top option, Rougiet Ready, is a fast-acting, clinically formulated treatment that comes in a simple mint that dissolves under your tongue. It's designed for convenience with fast absorption and effects that can begin in 15 minutes and may last up to 36 hours. They also offer Go Long, which is formulated to support both performance and control for longer-lasting needs. It's all about helping guys feel prepared, confident, and in control. The reality is most people don't want complicated routines. They want something that fits into real life and that works without overthinking it. Head to Rougiet.com/LockedOnNHL and get 15% off your ED treatment. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnNHL for 15% off. Rougiet, performance medicine for men. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen of the day. Thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the number one sports podcast network in America. It's all because of you. And remember, guys, we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary, and that's only because of you guys, our everydayers. Keith, explaining the grade for Jeremiah Smith, we called them rare. I broke out the term I never use in generational. That lets you know how much I love him as a prospect. Keith, what grade do you give the rare Jeremiah Smith?
Yeah, I mean, obviously first round, right? First round grade. Category, I put him in a rare all-pro caliber. That's the expectation. That's the floor in a sense. He has the opportunity to go down as one of the best ever. Like just from a physical profile and what he provides. I'll even get into this. A couple comps of guys that I thought about with this kind of physical stature. One, I think you mentioned before, Julio Jones, right? And the other one was Andre Johnson.
I like that.
Those two guys they were just 6'3", 220, 230, and just physically dominated you. But they also had the speed to where you didn't have an answer for them. The answer was to double cover them. But once the IQ improves, then they can beat double coverage. There's truly nothing you can do when guys come out with this much of a well-roundedness as far as the talent, the skill, plus the physical profile that meets all of the high athletic thresholds. DP, I mentioned it. You think of some of the past drafts, right, where it was like, this guy's clearly the best guy in the draft. I think of Derek Stingley's. I think of the Bijan Robinsons, the Will Andersons. He's in that class, right, of, okay, this guy is different. And he had the momentum building into the season, and there's a reason why. I look at him in that ilk of like, man, this guy's he's just flat out different. And he is the number one player in this class right now, and he should be the number one player ranked in this class right now.
Absolutely. Now, I want to say this before I get into mine. Guys, we're not doing the prospect fatigue come January, February, March, and April next year. We're not doing it. Like, we're not having it. There's some guys who are resume proof, Keith. His resume is what it is. 2 years of dominating the college football landscape. Year one, teams tried to play him one-on-one. They saw how that went. Year two, you saw everybody else in that Ohio State offense getting one-on-one coverage because you talked about it, beating double coverage. There's a throw against Penn State where he runs a post route and he beats three defenders. He beats the safety over top. He beats the corner inside, and there's a safety, a low hole safety that's running with him as well. He beats bracket coverage for a deep ball. And we talk about Julian saying not having the biggest arm. You think about, granted, you got to talk about accuracy. Like a DJ Lagway having that elite type of arm to be able to just uncork that deep ball and let him run, that's a house call. Like, his ability to be like, he saw double and triple teams in 2025, right? So Keith, like, this young man is absolutely, I'm there with you. I just want people to understand We're not doing it. I'm not having it. We're not going to get on Twitter and see people trying to nitpick his game and say why he should fall out of the top 10. He shouldn't fall out of the top 3. You know what I mean? I want to get that out of the way. I want to get it off my chest, guys. We're not doing it. For me, Keith, same thing. First round, top 3 grade. Like he's literally just like you said, rare, just all pro, potential Hall of Fame talent, right? And guys, I want y'all to understand something. Me and Keith don't ever do this like with prospects. We never put guys in that type of ilk. But when you watch the film and you see what he's been able to do over 2 years at Ohio State, and this is a program with such a lineage of receivers. They've just brought in Chris Henry Jr., who looks like he's going to be an absolute stud, right? Like, Brian Hartline now is at USF, I think. So hopefully he's able to pull some of these 5 stars with his resume. I would love to see him like raise the floor and the ceiling of that program. Excited for college football to be back and see what that looks like. But yeah, like they have such a lineage. And for Jeremiah Smith to be the best of what we've seen at that school, and he's going to leave that for Chris Henry and whoever else comes behind him, y'all going to have big shoes to fill, man, because this is a dude. And Keith, that's why, to me, I've been calling him Julio since he was a freshman, since he stepped on campus. I want people to understand something. Pulled up mock draftable. Julio Jones, 6'3", 220 pounds, ran a 4.34 with a broken bone in his foot, if I remember correctly, at the combine, which is crazy. He probably would have ran 4.2s with a 38.5-inch vertical, right? 33 3/4 in the arm. You brought up Andre Johnson, Keith, 6'2", 230, 4.4 flat, 39-inch vert. Like, just physical freaks and specimens at the wide receiver position that they do things. I remember when it was like prime Julio versus Antonio Brown debates. And Steeler fans, I would always argue with my boys who were Steeler fans. And I'm like, I love AB. And yeah, AB had more touchdowns. I'm like, they force-fed him the ball. They got him the rock. Julio Jones was always the better receiver to me because I got everything from Julio. Catch point, yak, run blocking, speed. He ran routes just as good as Antonio Brown. And he was, 20, 30 pounds heavier, probably 40, pounds heavier. And he had 2 or 3 inches on him in terms of height. Jeremiah Smith, man, that's the comp. And I just want to see him. He's already got a title, too. So it's not like he got to go out there and chip out to really solidify his college career, Keith. He's got a national championship, right? Like, he already got that. I just want to see him go out there. I want to see him go put up 1,700 yards. Just go out there and just blow the doors off of college football. Honestly, Keith, remember, I don't know if you remember these conversations. Just Davion Clowney coming out. And it was like, man, after that 1 year, don't even play the next year in college football, right?
Yeah,
Jamar Chase.
He had that big hit, right?
Against Michigan.
Yep.
Against Michigan, the bowl game. Then, heck, you were there for, Jamar Chase, right? COVID happened and all that stuff like that. Chase said, I'm good. I'm not testing it. He doesn't play. He still goes top 5, right? For good reason. You know what I mean? It's Jeremiah Smith, if he decides not to play, which we know he's going to, but that's the conversation people will have. Like, man, what if he sat out? Still top 3. It's still top 3. Keith. We're going to talk about more wide receivers. Cam Coleman, Nick Marsh, Ryan Coleman Williams. This is a really loaded wide receiver class. We're still going to talk about some of those guys. But, man, to try to catch him, right now he's the standard, Keith. He's the standard.
Yeah, and guess what? I'm interested to watch those other guys too, just to see where they compare and contrast. And listen, if we have 2 generational prospects at the wide receiver position, makes it even more fun, right? And I always say with these draft classes, man, take what they give you, right? Because the Titans sitting at number 4, they took Cornell Tate this time, but how would they feel if they had Jeremiah Smith the very next year, right? Or you look at the running back conversation, right? We had 1 year where we had Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs in, right? The next year, running back talent, not so as deep, right? So you have to take what the classes give you, and when you start reaching for positions, it's where you get in trouble. But I'll tell you one thing: drafting Jeremiah Smith doesn't appear any trouble. That seems like the right.
Listen, I'm campaigning for him. I'm campaigning for the Raiders to lose as many games as possible. I want him and my guy Mendoza lighting it up in Las Vegas for years to come.
All right, well, DP, that wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at the talent code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Guys, come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.